Hey guys, Michael the DC Multiverse Collector here, bringing you this review of the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Gold Label Commander Steel. At the top of this review, let me say a big thank you to Head Start Toys and McFarlane Toys for providing me with this sample for review. And let's just get some housekeeping out of the way. Big thank you to Green Rock Comics for being an awesome retailer who supplies me with all my stock that's not given to me for review. Great retailer, check them out. And secondly, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. Give this video a like if it's helpful, entertaining, or informative. Hit the notification bell so you can not miss out on any of my videos. With all that out of the way, let's have a look at Commander Steel here. You see him in the box looking pretty swish, pretty vibrant, I would say, in that red, blue, and silver color scheme, and we can see that there are a few accessories, some alternate hands. I think there's some really interesting things to talk about with this figure, because while it says Commander Steel on the box, when I'm looking at the card art and the figure in the box, I have some questions about who this figure actually is, and they may not be answered until I have a look at the data file on the back of that card. We'll get into it one thing at a time. Taking a look at the side of the box, and you will see that this figure is designated as Commander Steel from JSA. Now we'll return to that once we discuss the identity of this character, so bear that in mind, JSA. And on the back of the box here, we have some absolutely gorgeous Alex Ross artwork. You can always spot the Alex Ross artwork from a mile away because it's just so unique and incredible. And this is a gorgeous image that is fairly representative of the figure in the box. But again, knowing that this is the Alex Ross artwork of Steel, Commander Steel, Citizen Steel, I get confused about which character this actually is, so let's bear this art in mind as well when we have a look at the figure. So look, I'm really excited to get this guy out of the box and see how cool he is. From everything I know, this is Commander Steel, a 1940s World War II era Nazi fighting DC answer to Captain America. Very cool character, and he's had a few incarnations over the years, and that's what I've been hinting at in this intro, is I'm not sure which actual version of the figure or character this is, and it's really bugging me, and I need someone to help me out. We'll investigate as we go through the review, but if you know more in the comments, let me know, please. Explain this to me. Who is this guy? Who is this man? Let's open the box and see if we can find out. Okay, so with the box open, we can see everything that comes inside, and it's a fairly modest offering. Starting with the boring stuff, you'll see we have the DC Multiverse display stand. Thin, basic, boring with the DC logo stamped on there. Pretty uninteresting, but good to have nonetheless. We also get the collector card. Now this is really interesting. You'll see here it says Commander Steel of the JSA, and it's got this beautiful Alex Ross artwork that I actually believe is of the third character to take on the Steel mantle, which would be Nathan Haywood, who was just known as Citizen Steel. That's my understanding, is that art that appears on the box and is a fairly good match for the figure is actually Citizen Steel and not Commander Steel. Bearing that in mind, let's have a look at the data file on the back. Here it says Commander Steel from JSA, and then gives the bio for Henry Hank Haywood III, who, to my understanding, is the actual second Steel. So you following me? So Commander Steel is the original Steel. Then we have his grandson, Henry Hank Haywood III, who, to my understanding, might have been Captain Steel or something. He never went by Commander Steel, from my knowledge. He was something else. And then his cousin is actually Nathan Haywood, who is Citizen Steel, because he has no rank in the army, and that is this guy in the Alex Ross artwork. And it's Nathan, the third Steel, who was actually in the JSA. So are you following me right now? So right here, right now, we have a character called Commander Steel, who's actually the original Commander Steel from the 1940s fighting Nazis. The bio here refers to the second Steel, Henry Hank Haywood III, and the artwork and the JSA designation and the figure design points to the third Steel, Nathan. So let me know, comic fans, have I got any of that wrong? Have I just got the short end of the stick? Am I confused? Who is this guy? Because I don't believe it's the original Commander Steel, and this makes me think it's meant to be the second Steel, but that doesn't match the art, and I don't think the second Steel, Henry Hank Haywood III, was in the JSA. Correct me if I'm wrong. So who is this guy? Who is it? You let me know. Anyway, with all that controversy out of the way, let's look at the only real accessories we get, and that's hands. He comes with 2 additional left hands, in addition to the gesture hand that he has there. One is a pointy hand, which we've seen before and is pretty cool, and another is a left fist, so that's really nice to have. And on the right hand side, we actually get 2 additional right hands that, in my box at least, are exactly the same. He's got 2 palms, just open palms. Why have I got 2 identical hands? Has your figure got 2 identical right hands? If not, what sort of hand does he have? So that's really mystifying. It might be a production error. I just have 2 identical right hands there. Let's have a look at the figure himself. So in terms of aesthetics, this figure actually has a lot going for it. I think right off the bat, the best part of this figure is that it uses one of the best body molds in the entire DC Multiverse line, and that is the Speeding Bullets Batman body. Now, the Speeding Bullets Batman body was for that Batman-Superman combo, Speeding Bullets. It was then used in the Black Lightning figure, and then most recently in the world's finest fusion of Batman and Superman. So it's been used, 3, now maybe the 4th time. And I think McFarlane is cottoning on that this is one of the best bodies and sculpts that he's ever made. The proportions, for one, are just really, really nice. It's got this big, broad, heroic chest with lots of musculature, but it's not overdone. It's quite realistic, but also exaggerated in a comic booky way. The shoulders are broad, the neck is, really muscular. The head is not too big. The legs are chunky, but they're not too long. They're not too over the top. The arms aren't too long. It's just a really nicely proportioned figure, and it's sort of the basic proportions that I wish more figures would have. I'm getting really tired of that Blue Beetle body buck, which is very spindly, very thin, weirdly proportioned. I think this is where it's at, and McFarlane seems to be figuring it out. Now, a hangover from that, of course, is that the arms still have all those sort of ribs, for her pleasure, along the arms and the legs, and they don't really belong there. They don't detract too much. They add a bit of extra detail, but they're not accurate, to Citizen Steel. So, I wish that they would just update the arms and legs so that we would have a nice, clean body buck with great proportions that they could use for all of their spandex type characters. What is nice is that there are, unique crotch pieces here. I like the silver paint around the belt, and generally the paint on the figure, while there's not much, isn't pretty nice. All this printing on the chest here is very clean, the silver is lovely, and it continues on the back, and it looks pretty good there as well. You'll see the shoulder pieces are also painted, albeit crudely, over those ribbed sculpt bits. So it's pretty nice. I like the silver stripe on the boots, but it does not continue over the ankle joint, which is a bit of a shame. I wish they would paint the ankle joint. Collector Edition Wonder Woman had this same issue, and I just wish they'd just paint the joint. I don't see why that would be too hard, but, it is what it is. One thing I don't really like about the figure is the shade of red. I think I call this Happy Meal red. Red Tornado had the same issue. It's just a very bright, ketchupy red. Looks like Ronald McDonald. And in unpainted plastic, it kind of just comes off a little bit cheap to me. He looks like sort of a toy you'd get out of like a Christmas cracker or something. It's just that this particular shade of red in unpainted plastic just doesn't have a great finish. I do wish he'd been cast in a darker red plastic, maybe a little bit more maroony. If you have a magenta, perhaps. If you have a look at the card art from Alex Ross, it has a more of a dark red metallic maroon sheen, which I think just looks so much cooler than this bright red. This does have sort of a golden age classic Commander Steel ready look, which I get what they were going for. But yeah, something about the finish just looks a little bit shiny, a little bit cheap, and it doesn't need to, I don't think. So yeah, let's have a look at the head sculpt, which I think is actually a big positive of the figure. It's quite stoic, but in a way that I think works for Commander Steel, who is kind of a stoic Captain America style character. I like the detail in the eyes. They've got a nice bit of paint on the eyebrows, and I think the lips, the nose, have very, very realistic looks to them. None of that sort of cartoony weirdness, and the paint there is quite natural. The skin tone is maybe a little bit dark, but I can live with it. I like it quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, if you look at this figure, just aesthetically on a shelf, apart from the cheapness of the shade of red they went with, I think he looks really cool. It's an elegant design for a character, and I think McFarlane has captured it quite accurately. I think the biggest drawbacks are just those ribbed bits of the sculpt, which you don't really see when you're looking at the figure face on, if I'm being honest. And I think the shade of red could have just been a little bit cooler, a little bit more premium looking. But other than that, like, this is just a really, really awesome looking figure, a striking figure on the shelf. He'll go really well in your Justice League or your Justice Society display, and he'll stand out with that silver and red get up. So a pretty cool look. Now, in terms of articulation, this is the Black Lightning Speeding Bullets buck. It moves really, really well. It'll do what you want it to do. And of course, the soft diaper piece means you can get lots of range of movement. This is a very flexible diaper here, very soft, one of the softest diapers they've done. And he can do just about anything you want him to do. I'm not going to bore you here. You've seen this buck before. You know it's a good buck. You know it can do lots of cool stuff. One of the best he's ever done. So yeah, like, in terms of, articulation, it's among the best McFarlane has to offer, particularly for a character like this, who's quite athletic. You want to be able to get him in like a running pose, and you can do it. Yeah, it's really cool. So, Commander Steel. Really nice figure. It's up to you whether this figure or character, I suppose, resonates with you. But for me, who really wants to fill out my Justice Society team, it's a must-buy. And I think you'll really dig it if you pick it up as well. To get our comparisons underway, I thought I would start with a simple comparison of all the figures that have used this Speeding Bullets Batman body so far. So of course we've got Speeding Bullets Batman on the left. Next to him is the world's finest Batman-Superman fusion. Then we have Commander Steel and Black Lightning. Now, I think the early days of the reuse of this mold, Black Lightning, you'll see that they sort of fudged the crotch piece. They didn't give it enough unique parts, and that was a bit of a shame. But with World's Finest and now Commander Steel, you'll see that McFarlane is not shying away from giving them unique crotch pieces, unique gauntlets and gloves to really differentiate them from that original mold, which is a good thing. I wish he would do away with those ribbed bits on the arms and legs, but notwithstanding that one small issue, this is clearly one of the best bucks they've got. It moves well, it looks great, it's got awesome proportions, it's a winner, and it really should be one of the gold standards default bodies in McFarlane's repertoire of sculpts. So yeah, really, really cool set of figures. And for our next comparison, I thought I'd get some figures together that really reminded me of Commander Steel. On the left, we have Captain America from Marvel Legends, and on the right, we have DC Multiverse's Agent Liberty. All three of these characters just give me very, very similar vibes. They all have big stars on their chest for one, but more importantly, I think they all sort of have this sort of bad guy fighting agent of the government sort of feel to them. Commander Steel, the original version, and Steve Rogers both fought in World War II against the Nazis, and Captain America and Agent Liberty both went rogue against the government at various points. And I don't know, there's just something about these characters that all seem very similar to me. Let me know in the comments if you have any idea what I'm getting at. But yeah, that's just my feeling on it. And for my final comparison, I thought I'd bring in some members of the Justice Society of America. On the left, we have the J. Garrick Flash, and on the right, we have the Spectre. All members of the JSA at various points. I think these three all appeared together in Kingdom Come, correct me if I'm wrong, and they look pretty cool together. J. Garrick is an awesome figure, and that is a body buck that I wish McFarlane would use more often. It's got some really cool detail, nice proportions, good articulation, it's really good. You'll notice how tall it is compared to Commander Steel, and you'll notice how short the Spectre is using that Martian Manhunter body. So these guys are weird in terms of scale. The Spectre is tiny, J. Garrick is enormous, and I'd say Commander Steel is just right. This is another one of those McFarlane Toys releases that isn't spectacular, it's not mind-blowing, but it's rock solid from top to bottom. I really, really love this Speeding Bullets body buck. It's got excellent proportions and it moves well, and it suits this character to a T. The paint job on this figure is beautiful and crisp, although I do wish he'd been cast in a slightly darker red plastic or had a bit of paint on the body. The head sculpt is great. The accessories are fairly middling, and they could have gone further with an alternate head. But when you look at this figure in totality on the shelf, he's going to look striking, he's going to look bold, and I think he fits the bill. Whether this is Commander Steel or Citizen Steel, I don't care. I think he'll fill out your JSA or Justice League collection really, really nicely, and I highly, highly recommend it. So that's all from me. If this video has been entertaining, informative, or helpful, why not give it a like? And if you're not subscribed, hey, why not consider subscribing? It really helps me out, and I'd really appreciate it. In the meantime, friends, happy collecting, and as always, thank you so much for watching.